Hey traders, it's ASIM Trading again. I wanted to do a quick video on Oliver Kell's cycle of price action. So I've showed this slide before, but this is essentially Oliver Kell's cycle of price action that he shows in some of his interviews. He shows it in his book. He shows it in his course. And I also showed professional trading strategies and their core long and short patterns. And then I showed how I realized that if you kind of overlay these patterns in logical sequence, that the professional trading strategies core patterns, they align extremely well with Oliver's cycle of price. And it's not exactly a match, but you can see very clearly, there's a lot of overlap. And so basically, the patterns that were observed by the professional trading strategies group, even though they're day trade oriented, it aligns really well with Oliver Kell's cycle of price. And that's mainly due to just the nature of supply and demand, the fractal nature of price and how it moves. So luckily, the TraderLine crew, and I'm not affiliated with TraderLine by any stretch, they're having this 7-day crash course, Price Cycle Mastery, essentially where they go over Oliver's price cycle framework. And if you go to their website, if you sign up for this, again, I'm not affiliated with them. I just think that Oliver Kell's model and his approach to price action is extremely usable. It helps accelerate, a trader's learning curve so they can kind of understand where things sit in the grand scheme of things. But so I'm not gonna show you the full day one, but I just wanted to kind of, if you take this model that Oliver has here. Essentially we're looking for a wedge pop back to the moving averages after they're sloping down, and the price starts to grind up into the moving averages, and then it pops out, and then you have the first cross back, which is the EMA cross back. And whether you call it a W bottom setup or a buy setup, whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. It's just the ability to recognize these patterns as they're forming and know what to do whenever you see these patterns. That's kind of the key. So like I said, luckily the TraderLine crew, if you download this model book, they basically did an optimized model book, which essentially updates Oliver Kell's original work, Victory in Stock Trading, which I think is a really great book, even with this course. It's kind of this is an addendum to that. But you can see a wedge pop is where it pops back through the moving averages. So you have these moving averages sloping lower, and then you have a strong price and volume push back up through the moving averages, which is why it's called a wedge pop. This is the wedge, and it's popping up back through the moving averages. And then the first crossback is the EMA crossback. And then you kind of get in your basin breaks. These are basically longer. So usually an EMA crossback is just kind of a shorter term pullback, whereas a basin break tends to be a slightly longer sort of pattern. As another example, you have the wedge. You have the sloping, down sloping moving averages. It's wedging into them. It pops up. And then you have this crossback to the moving averages. And then again, like the basin break, it's just kind of a longer sideways consolidation as the thing moves along the uptrending 10 and 20 moving average. And the reason I think that's important is if you kind of understand the fractal nature of the market. So this is an hourly chart, this is a weekly chart. I've highlighted this before. When you have these strong weekly pushes and you have the ADXs in certain patterns like this AD Express on the weekly, and you kind of see these pause weeks, these are really good areas to start looking for setups. So one thing that I want to point out is if you go back to this cycle on, this is a time frame neutral strategy. Whether you're looking at the weekly, whether you're looking at the daily, whether you're looking at the hourly, you can use this model for all time frames. And I think that's the beauty of it, is it's not just restricted to one time frame. And this is a great example of that. So if I look at this, pullback on a weekly, there is a pause bar here, but if you look at the hourly, you can see the moving averages are sloping down, and then you get this big pop. You can see it start to grind and wedge into these declining moving averages, and then it pops out of that. I mean, this is the wedge pop, this bar here that's popping out above the moving averages. This would be your action bar. That's why Oliver calls this the money bar or the money play, because there's a lot of moves that originate from here. And then if you get in on this bar, you can put your stop below the most recent consolidation or below this bar. There's a lot of different options you have, but this is a really, really good starting point because you're right near the 10-day moving average, which is this pink line here. So you're basically getting in off of this hourly pattern on a wedge pop. And then if this thing pulls back, and then you can even add to your position on this EMA crossback. Again, there's just a lot of options here. This just kind of speaks to the fractal nature of the markets. And again, here's another example. And this is this period back here. You can see where the market pulled back for about 2 weeks. But this 2-week pullback here is this period here on the hourly. And it's the same thing. You can see a downsloping 20, a downsloping 10, and the price is just bumping up against it as it moves down. But at some point, you start to build higher lows, you start to grind into this moving average, and then you pop out of it. So again, this would be a wedge pop. And if you put your stop at the low of the bar here, you probably would have got stopped out. If you put it at the low of the consolidation, you would still be in it. But still, this gives you a nice entry zone right off of the moving averages. And this isn't the exact lows of the pattern, but the thing is, you don't want to try to pick the low because you don't know how low this thing will go. So that's why you're waiting for this pop, because this kind of confirms that this downtrend on the short term is at least over with for now. So if you get in here on this wedge pop and then this EMA crossback, but you could potentially add another piece here, and then you have this really, really nice move as this thing rides up these moving averages. We could take just about any stock that's moved decently. And again, this thing gapped up, so it's not always going to follow this exact sequence, but they were downtrending moving averages beforehand. It gaps up. It doesn't give you the exact EMA crossback that you're looking for. It's not that the price action plays out exactly like it shows in the model. It's just a good reference point to kind of understand how price action normally plays out. And again, this is another good example here, Fate. And you can see it has a couple of pause weeks on its way up. And even if you just look at the times that it bounces into the moving average here, down sloping 20, down sloping 10, it starts to grind up, and then you pop back up through the moving average. So that would be your wedge pop. You would enter here. And then maybe you add here on this EMA crossback. And then you get a basin break here. You see how the 10 stays above the 20 while this thing kind of grinds sideways for a little bit. So just on this one play here, you could enter once, add. So you have a decent sized position in this stock that's actually trending pretty nicely. And by this point, the 10 period moving average here, this pink line, it's probably decently above your average cost. So if you get in here, you add here, your cost might be down here somewhere. So now you have basically a free roll position that's larger, and it's based on adding on for a reason. It's not adding just for the heck of adding. You're actually adding at strategic locations as the stock works its way higher and does what it normally does. You can see this thing didn't just blast off right off the moving average. Most stocks don't do that. That's kind of a misconception that people have, is like the stock should immediately blast off or else it's not something you should be in. I think that's a good way to kind of prematurely kick yourself out of perfectly fine trades. Even if I back up, to this previous bounce, same thing, down sloping 20, down sloping 10, it starts to kind of build higher lows here, and then it pops out on this really big candle. And again, like you're not always gonna get this very nice, neat touch back on the EMA crossback, but this thing formed a nice little shelf here. You probably could have added to that. And this little pop didn't last as long as other pops, but like we have no control over that. We don't have any control over how long the move lasts after it starts. All we can do is find these areas here. It's coming into the moving average, this longer term moving average, down sloping 20, down sloping 10, and it pops out of there. EMA crossback, you add to it. Again, this doesn't follow through, but you're well positioned in this stock should it follow through. Like I said, you have no control over whether the stock follows through or not. Your job is to be available and position yourself in potential opportunities should they arise, when they arise. And again, I could just go through this whole list here. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but this is just an example. Again, this thing pulls back to the 10 period. You see this pink line, this pink and yellow line are important. This is the 10 and the 20 moving average. There are a lot of bounces, a lot of patterns occur in the vicinity of these moving averages. So when the stock pulls back to these areas, you really want to pay attention. Again, you have a down sloping 20, down sloping 10. You see it start building higher lows, and then it wedge pops out of there. Is it going to give an EMA crossback? I mean, who knows? Maybe on Tuesday when this thing opens again, maybe it'll pull back and give you an EMA crossback. So that way, if you did enter here, this was your first entry point, you know, maybe you could add a little bit here. If you back up just a little bit on the previous bounce off the moving average, same exact scenario. Down sloping 20, down sloping 10, starts to build higher lows, and then you pop above these moving averages, and then it's just off to the races. This one doesn't give you an EMA crossback, you know, unless you count this one way up here. Usually the EMA crossback is going to be like not exactly right after the wedge pop, but usually in the vicinity of it. You're not always going to get an EMA crossback. Sometimes it might just take off like this, and that's fine. That's totally fine. The whole point of this drill is to understand how stocks move. You know, I go to the previous bounce, and if you just look how this thing's bouncing off the 10, down sloping 20, down sloping 10, you start building higher lows, wedge pop off, you know, up back through the moving averages, and you get kind of a EMA cross back here, back to the rising 10 and 20, and then, you know, this could be considered a basin break. You know, maybe this is an EMA crossback, but then it builds out into a bigger basin break, and then maybe you can add here, you could add here, and you just ride this thing as far as it goes. So I mean, that's kind of the beauty of this pattern. If you look at every bounce off the 20 or off the 10-day here, it's kind of the same scenario. So as this thing is working its way higher on the weekly here, it looks like just up on the bars. But if you actually look at the intraday volatility, there's plenty of areas here where you could have gotten on board. And again, not every trade is going to work out, but that's not the point. The point isn't for every trade to work out. The point is for you to position yourself for opportunity and then let the market do whatever it's going to do. Again, completely new stock. This one is potentially forming. You know, it's pulling into its rising 10, rising 20. Like, I don't even have to be on the daily here. That's why I have these moving averages on the hourly, so I can know what the 10 and 20 is doing on the daily without even having to be on the daily. But you have down sloping 20, down sloping 10 as it pulls into the 10 period moving average. And then if this thing wedge pops out of here, I mean, that would be a fine play. You just buy the wedge pop and you put your stop. You can put it underneath all of the noise of the most recent pivot low. You can put it underneath the breakout bar of the wedge pop. It's, again, I've talked about this before, there's just trade-offs with it. The closer that you put your stop and the tighter it is, the bigger of a position you can get, sure, but also the more likely you're going to get stopped out on just, you know, normal intraday volatility. I prefer to put my stop a little bit slightly lower, you know, outside the noise, so that way my batting average is a little bit higher, even though my positions are a little bit smaller because of that. That's just the trade-off that I'm willing to accept. I'm willing to accept smaller positions for the sake of having a higher batting average, because for me that helps with my psychology. It helps me to stick with my plan, and it just helps me to kind of be in the moment in the trade instead of sitting there battling against, you know, repeated stop outs. And a lot of people, it may be quote unquote optimal to do such a thing, but it's extremely difficult for most traders to follow a system where they're getting repeatedly stopped out. It's a little bit psychologically more comfortable, and you're able to adhere to your plan, which again, adherence in my mind is very important in the beginning, because if you don't stick to your plan, you start to develop bad habits, and then you're not sticking to any plan. You're jumping all over the place. You don't know what to do. It's better to start with a plan that's effective, that you can do consistently, that you can adhere to. That way you're focusing on the process, you're focusing on execution, which is, in my mind, a little bit easier when your batting average is higher. So I tend to do things that kind of give me a little bit more of a psychological advantage, even if it may be slightly less than optimal. So again, like if this thing breaks out, that might be a good wedge pop sort of hourly bounce off the 10 period here. You know, this would be kind of a basin break on this flag or this pattern before. You know, a lot of times what's called a basin break is essentially just an intraday flag pattern. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it. It just matters that you can recognize it in real time as it's happening. Again, like these wedge pops aren't perfect. They're not always going to lead to a winning trade. But if you look at just how stocks move in general, when a stock pulls into this rising 10 and 20, and it wedge pops back through these moving averages after they slope down, that's the key. You wait for them to slope down, this kind of traps a lot of people. It shakes a lot of the longs out. It starts to trap shorts because, you know, the shorts are starting to think this thing is breaking down. And then this wedge pop is essentially, it's kind of like screwing everybody over essentially, because there's a bunch of shorts that have initiated on the short side. There's a bunch of longs that got screwed because, you know, they're getting stopped out of their position. So this is kind of like almost like a clearing bar where it's the shorts are having a reverse course. The longs that were on the sidelines are starting to pile back in. So a lot of times you get this surge of demand that'll push this trend up for days and weeks afterwards, just because of the supply and demand dynamics that are at play there. So again, I just want to do a quick video just to show you my interpretation of Kell's cycle of price. I think it's an amazing model, an amazing framework that I think is useful regardless of your trading strategy, whether you are a long-term trader trading off of the weekly charts, whether you're a swing trader trading off the daily charts, or whether you can use these same exact frameworks for intraday trading. I use this a lot whenever I see stocks pulling into their rising 10 and 20, and I see the 10 sloping down and the 20 sloping down on the hourly. To me, that's just like I start licking my chops because I'm just waiting for that thing to pop back out. Because again, that's just how price moves. That's how supply and demand works. And Oliver Kell, this is just the cycle of price that he has formulated for himself. This is a core element of his success as a trader, and it's kind of the backbone of his strategy. So I highly recommend anybody that's interested, they sign up for this TraderLine 7-day email series. You'll learn a lot about Oliver's framework, and I think overall, regardless of your strategy, it'll help you become a better trader. Well, thanks folks, and I'll talk to you soon.